guys, now we're going to go on to our texturing stage. So we've got all of our UV sorted. Select all of our mesh. Actually, what I will do is, I don't like that. Delete all by type history. Call this now barrier. It's because I extracted it and merged it and whatnot. It's changed, but there we go. We've got our road assets. So select all of those. Right click and go to shell. Select every single piece. Go to polygons, UV snapshot, and I think a 1024 by 1024 will be good enough for this, for a group anyway, so that'll be fine. We'll go to desktop and we'll call this Road Assets UV Snapshot. You can call it whatever you want, but this is what I tend to do, and this is my workflow. And I'll click save, make sure target and it's 0 to 1, and then okay, yeah, it's cool. Marvellous. So we can sort of, we'll keep that just for now. We'll open up the old Photoshop. So as like I did in my SD card ones, this tutorial is going to be basically adding some base colours and some base textures, and then we'll go on to doing normal maps in the next tutorial. Now if I go back to, I'll just open up my folder with my road assets. Normal map's going to be used for the speed bump. I like this kind of pattern, so I'll show you how to do that. The cone, we might be able to get some details here, and these areas here we can do that, and maybe some little grooves for this area. And luckily for this, we won't need normal maps. We might be able to create a normal map purely for the metal, you know, as just sort of like a picture normal. Other than that, it's going to be quite nice. So let's open up our snapshot. Can't remember what I called it. Road asset, wasn't it? Got so much stuff on my desktop, it's not good. Oh, there it is. So open that up, and then I'll just set up my file the way that I just, tend to like it. So convert that, set that to screen, create a new background, which is black. Rename that BG, and call that Road Asset UV Snapshot. There we go. So everything else can go in between the two, and then I'll save that as Road Asset UV as a PSD file. Right, so let's focus on the top one first, because we know that for a fact that was our speed bump. So if I bring that to a side as well and open up my speed bump picture, we can have a no, don't need my eye, do we? It's that one. Close that down, don't need that. So as we can see, we just literally got black and yellow to sort out. Now, I will not do that as a black, I'll just do that as a very, very dark grey. So what I'll do is, this is how I tend to do it. I usually block out all of it, grab a colour, so I'll probably go for a very dark grey such as that. So it's not black, actually I probably will increase it, because obviously when you add your specular that's going to brighten it anyway. That will do. And then go to my fill tool, making sure I've got a new layer, and I'll import that. And then I'll go to my magic wand tool, click on my road asset UV, click on anywhere, and then it selects everything around the outside of our shell. So now I go to select, modify, contract, and I do 10 pixels, click OK, and then go to my selection tool and just delete. Oh, my After Effects is done, good. And then what it does is, I don't know if you can see, it creates that shape for me, but it just gives me a bit on the edge, because if you do it specifically on that edge, you might just see, I used to do that in the past, and you sort of saw missing details on the edge of your models. So that's the reason why I just sort of extend it. It's a lot easier that way. And then what I can do is I can duplicate that, go on to color overlay or something, and then just hit some yellow color. Now I'm not going to pick whip this color, I'm going to do this manually. I'll go a bit more on the orange, a bit more of the old hue, something like that will do. I'm happy with that. And then I can start blocking out what I want. So everything from sort of this point onwards. So I'll do that, take that same selection and then do the same on the other side. I've made a mistake. I forgot to do Control Z, Control Z. I need to take off this bit because that bit's going to remain dark. And the same for the other side, do that. And then it's literally just trying your best to... how do I do this? I want to keep it equal, so what I usually do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll do 6, so I'll do something really basic like this. Get a red colour, new layer, that one. And then I'll duplicate the layer, but then I'll change the colour to blue. And you'll see why I'm doing this in a sec. And this is only purely for scale. And then what I can do is I can then duplicate those and duplicate them again. Now there's 6 of those. I can merge them all, put it on the end there, and we can scale that up to there. So now I know that we want 6 and the scale in between the two, you know? So grab the yellow, so I can now grab the blue, delete, grab the blue, delete, and grab the blue and delete. That's not right. I've ballsed that up because it should have been an odd number in order to get the black. So Control Z. I'll try that again maybe. So yep. Do that, and then we'll just get a blue. Oops. And then pop that on the end. Should have known that, but it all comes with practice, and it's something you guys might want to know, you know, for future reference. So hit transform tool, and now we can do that. It don't need to be particularly rough, accurate. It can be quite rough. So now we can go back onto our layer, and this time it will be red. So that was a slight little balls up, but easy fix. There we go. That's perfectly fine. Then we can delete that. Don't need it. So now we got our basic texture for that. So we can call that speed bump. Oops. I'll copy that. And I never merged everything together. I always group them and then call it speed bump, just purely if I want to change things. And for normal maps, because obviously you're going to need all the shapes you can. If you're like me, then you know, it's just useful to keep those. So speed bump is done. Now let's go on to... Let's get a nice metal texture from Google. So just type in metal texture, and the one thing about getting textures from the internet is make sure they're high quality, you know, large image. So I always go search tools and then just click large. And we're looking at pixel sizes around this. Now we are only using a 1024 by 1024, so anything higher than that will be great. So I like this one. Is there anything quite lighter actually? No, we'll use that one. We'll use that because we can always adjust it. Go to that and save it. So now what we can do, I will put this full screen. I will have to see what... Let's just select this one asset, and we can see these are the UV areas that we're going to need to cover. So it's quite nice and simple. You can literally just slap a metal texture over that. So do that and then pop that underneath. So we can bring this down to about there, because that's where it's going to start. And then again, like I said, Magic Wand tool, select everything. Select Modify Contract by 10. Go onto our selection tool, rasterize that layer, and delete. So now I know for a fact this is the cone, so we don't need this. We can start deleting this, you know, taking this detail out. That's cool. And then these ones are the cones as well, so we can remove those. So now we've got a metal texture slapped onto our metal railings. Now we will need to do AO at some point. I might do that at the start of a tutorial, you know, the next tutorial or something. And if you really want to, you can start adjusting the... I sometimes, because there's a lot of detail here, I usually grab color overlay, turn off preview, grab sort of like a metal-y type color, like pick whip something from here, that'll do, preview, and I just just dim it a little bit, but actually not. I'm just going to leave it for now. We can do all that later. This is just base textures. So this is called barrier. That's only one, so that's cool. And now we can focus on the cone. So let's get that picture up and then see what we can do, huh? Right, so first of all I'm going to pick an orange colour purely for this. So again, just grab and just take all of it. Grab an orangey colour. Some more orangey red. So that's quite nice. I like that. New layer, fill that. It can probably be a bit more red, but that's fine. We can just come back to that later. Go onto our road asset, our UV snapshot, and then do the same. Contract it all in, and delete, and then just delete the relevant extras that we do not want. There we go. And the rest is grey, so create a new layer and do something like that, and choose our grey. I'll put it more of a dark greeny grey, put a little tint in there. We'll do it a little bit darker purely because the specular is going to enhance it as well. Fill that in. Now what I will do is I'll just put this whole top orange as well, and you'll see why in a sec. New layer, do that, fill it orange, and then we'll just literally cut off as best we can, and just grab an eraser, making sure it's a hard edge one, size it up a bit, and just cut those off. Doesn't need to be massively accurate, this, but just so it's not getting in the way of the other thing. And then do the same for the other, so do that and contract it. I just like to keep things nice and neat, that's all. And there we go. As you can see here, this bit's nice and like an indent, so I can create a new layer on top, zoom in just a bit, create an ellipse, sort of something like that, bring it in the center and fill it in very, very dark, and that sort of simulates that hole in the top. So click Control T, make sure that's in the center of our little point here. Yeah, I like that. That's nice and cool. Normal map can do the rest. So there we go, we've got, actually I've seen a mismatch, I've erased that there, that's cool. So now we've got basic materials, and we're going to do the white now, actually, to be honest. That'll be useful. Yeah, I'm happy with everything else. So now we're going to need to create this white. Now, as I mentioned in the last tutorial, you need to follow this round. Yeah, so if I grab this cone and move it up and then create a silvery white, so I'll do a grey because the specular again is going to illuminate that, and I can move that up slightly. It will keep that same curvature, which is cool. And then what I will do, I'll position this to where I want it in terms of this orange piece. So that's what I'm happy with. And then I'll duplicate another and do the same. And I'll change this to a colour that I can clearly see. So I'll do a green because it's very visible then. And I want to position this to where I want it to end. So something around there. So now I just select that and I go onto my silver one and just hit delete. So then if I delete now the green one, I've got this nice curvature, which is cool, which is exactly what I want. And then because these are overlapping, again, select, contract, and then delete the bits we do not need, which is that one. And then what I do is I rasterize layer style, so I know for a fact that's grey. And we can just probably manually do this. That's cool. And then just to fix things up, there we go. Now we've got a nice base texture, and then we can, if we want, do these triangles. Now this is going to be a bit ugh. I hate doing little patterns like this, it's just they're so fiddly. So again, I'll just come here. Actually, I think I might have got one in Photoshop. No, there's no triangles. just purely because it's easier. Triangle shape. Oh, we'll try the pattern actually. That might be easier. Oh god. Oh, here's one. That might be fine. So take one of those, save it, import that, so place embedded. I don't want it linked, because if I choose to delete that off my computer, then at least Photoshop still keeps it. It's in downloads, isn't it? Nope. Where's that gone? I've saved an image and I don't know where I've put it. Oh, triangles, there we go. And what we can do now is rasterize it, bring that on top of that, and then we'll delete everything like that. And then just to maximize the color, we'll color overlay it, and we'll do this well, it doesn't matter what we do, we'll do it black just so it's visible. We'll size that down massively to the size we kind of want it. Well, that'll do. Duplicate, rotate 180 degrees, and pop that. I need to zoom in a bit. Pop that there, and then do the same for the other side. So then we can merge those. Duplicate. Move that down. Just duplicate again, flip vertical, and do those. So we're literally just duplicating this pattern over and over again, and you'll see why it just needs to be a bit bigger than what we want. This is going to get really confusing. I need to turn this background to a white. That'll do for now. I can't remember which one I just duplicated. That one. So move that alongside to that one and duplicate the same on the other side. So that'll do. And then we can now merge all these triangles. Do transform, sorry, and start sizing down to something we want. So there we go. I'm quite happy with that. And then what I want to do is I want to make sure that these lines match up, because that might be quite useful. So I'm using the warp tool now to ensure that they are together, and maybe just bring that middle bit down just a wee bit, and then just again fix those corners. There we go. So take off the old layer style so it's back to black. And there we go, we got it. So we can go to our triangle layer, well no, road asset, and do, once again, it gets quite tedious, but at least then you can see what your objects are, and it's quite tidy. So that's why I enjoyed, working like this. So we'll just turn it on and off just to see if anything's overlapping. No. And then what I will do is I'll grab the silver layer, hold Control so that it grabs that selection. Right click, select inverse, and then delete that from the triangles. So then it's something like that. And then we can work on the color, so we can maybe bring that down a little bit, so just a bit darker, like a grey. And we'll keep that shape because that's going to be quite useful for our specular and reflection. That might, the silver looks more reflective than the grey, so we'll sort that out. So now what we can do is we can group all of this, hide it, and call that cone. And there we go. Take it off. We can right click, save as. We'll pop it into Maya, see what it looks like, and then we'll round this up. So this is just going to be the diffuse layer, 24-bit. Select all of them, right click, assign new material, Lambert or a Blinn, but I prefer Blinn because Blinn supports specular. You can always turn it off, that's the thing. A Lambert is just a solid colour, A Blinn is basically a Lambert, so just you can turn the specular up and down. So just in case you want that, that's the one that I use. So import file and desktop, road asset diffuse, and then we'll turn on the old that, and then take off our UV. So there we go. We've got literally basic, very basic textures. Now I can see there is a bit of a mismatch here in the old cone, and that's purely because of the way that it was UV'd. However, I don't think, what's the time? 20 minutes. I'm not going to go into fixing that, but that could literally just be what we're doing. UV. We might be able to actually just quickly fix that. I don't know though. I'm not entirely sure. Take off the checkerboard so we can see. Grab edge tool so we can see which one it is, which is the scene point, which is this end one. I don't know whether it would be worth grabbing the UVs and then bringing them in a bit, you know, down a bit, and then, you know, just readjusting your UVs here. You know, but that's sort of one way to do it. But you're gonna have to sort of be careful because you're gonna get stuff like that. Yeah. But then if you see it from a distance, it's not that bad. But we're gonna leave it like that. It's not that much of an issue. It's still an asset that can be used. It's just with practice and more time, you were able to fix those, and then obviously the metal will have more of a shine to it and whatnot. So we'll fix that soon. So the next tutorial is going to be normal maps. Create normal maps for these assets. Please like and comment, and I'll see you in the tutorial after this. Peace.